Here's a typical use of QGIS and PostGIS, and that's PostGIS extension in Postgres in an enterprise environment for a multi-user editing system. So like for this case, our project has 4 users. That's Jess, Donald, Aileen, and Mike. Now for Jess, this one is like the manager of the project, and Jess is able to view all the layers and can edit all the layers. And for all the layers, in our case, we had the dwellings, the schools, which are abbreviated as educational facilities, and we have the water points. So Donald can only edit the dwellings and can only view the other layers. For Eileen can only edit the schools or the educational facilities and can only view the other layers. Then for Mike can only edit the water points and can only view the other layers. And these restrictions are very important when it comes to multi-user editing environment, because it enables that data integrity, whereby there cannot be a scenario that Donald can mistakenly edit the work that belongs to Eileen or Mike, or maybe Eileen edit by mistake the layers that should be edited by Mike or Donald. And that's a very typical use case for QGIS and PostGIS in a multi-user editing environment. So let me just jump straight to my PostGIS database. And for my database, maybe for this, I'll not be using the one that we have it in cloud. For our case, we're using the Neon cloud. You can have to host your PostGIS database in any cloud of your choice, but for our case, we choose Neon cloud. But for this case, I'm going to show you this example using the local host, which is in my computer. So maybe we can use an example of this is the database that we are working on, the Kakuma refugee camp, and this, whatever I just showed you, these are the restrictions that are required. Of course, there are other enumerations that we've included, which you are going to see in our QGIS. So if you go ahead and open our QGIS, and now we have to connect to that database. Like I said, we are using the one in localhost. So you go to layers and add layer, and we add our PostGIS layer. So we're going to create new. So let me start from the first user. Sorry, let me start from the first user, and our first user is Jess. Jess has the capabilities to edit all layers and can view all layers, and Jess is also our manager. So for this case, what we only want Jess to do is to be able to edit all layers, and we can see that he can also view all layers. So all the SQL have already been done in the database. So I'm just connecting this. We can use Jess camp. Then I'll be using the local host for this example. Then can test the connection so that it asks us. So I want to log in as Jess. Then I have the password for Jess because I'm logging in as Jess. And connection successful. Okay. Then we have to close this. Then if you check on, I named it as Jess Camp, this one. You realize that right inside here we have the good thing with PostGIS database is that it allows you to add various vector and raster layers in your project. So like for this database, you can add any raster, where if you are working on raster, and you can add some vector data if you're working on vector data, so long as you don't have very huge raster data set. Of course, that one will need a lot of computing, and that's why you might need to work on cloud. So right now we can just load the dwellings, and we can load the educational facilities, and the distribution. So, and let me just add the base map for this. So from here, you will be able to realize that this is a multi-user editing environment whereby I've logged in as JS, and JS has the instruction to edit all layers and to view all layers. So if you click on JS, you can see that JS can edit the educational facilities. The editor is active. Then you can edit the dwelling, and you can also check anything to do. For example, he wants to check the dwelling, he can check. For example, we want to do like another edit right here for the dwelling. You can just add this digitization. Maybe this is just an example that I'm trying to show you. And so the database allows the sequencing of the next ID. For example, if the previous ID was 1, the next ID will be 2, and then 3, then 4, as it continues. Then you are allowed to maybe to put the capacity of people living in a house or the dwelling. Then, or you can say whether the house is occupied, vacant, or under construction. So this data right now, the one that I'm putting for this house, is not verified, but I'm just putting it as an example. I'll delete it later. So let's say, for example, this house has 8 people, and the occupancy status will be occupied. Then for the area will be it is calculated automatically from the database. So I'm not going to put anything here. These are triggers that will be calculated, will be auto updated in this column for that case. So when you click OK, that new, and click on save, this new dwelling has been added. Remember, I'm working on this as JS, so you can stop editing, and if you just click this, you realize that you have the ID 30, which is a continuation from the previous ID, and we have the capacity of 8, and the occupancy status is occupied. Then we have the area. The same can be done for educational facilities. The same can be done for water distribution points, and because JS has the ability to edit all these layers at a go. So let's go to the next. Maybe I can just open a new QGIS instance. Okay, while it's opening, we can check. Meanwhile, we can check this. Sorry. So we can choose any other user here. Maybe we can say, let's go to Donald. Donald has the capability to only edit the dwellings. So that means Donald cannot edit anything to do with schools or the educational facilities. At the same time, Donald cannot edit the water distribution points. Donald can only edit the layers that have everything to do with the dwellings. So if this is the case, we expect that the editing toolbar will only be active on Donald in the dwellings, but not on these other layers. So we can check that. Just a minute. I think my QGIS, the other window is setting up. Wanted to open a new window so that I log in as Donald. Now for JS, JS is able to edit everything. That's why we have not seen any differences. So all the rights, the reading and write permissions are granted to JS for our case. Now when we go to the other users, this is how it should be. Okay. So I wanted us to add like a new different layer that we to make a new different connection. that will be specifically for Donald. So I can name it as Donald camp, and the host, our host, we are still using the local host, and our database. So I'm going to log in as Donald. These users, remember, I've already included them and their password in the database. So it's not something that's being done directly from QGIS right now. So when we make a connection, and I've named it as Donald Camp. So when you come to Donald Camp, you realize that we have the dwellings, we have the educational facilities, and the water distribution points that we are digitizing. And maybe I can add the web map, the base map. Sorry. So when you come to Donald, if you try and check the water distribution points, if you click the water distribution points, you realize that Donald cannot do any editing on this layer. So when you check the educational facilities, you realize that it's inactive. Donald cannot edit the educational facilities, but of course he can open the attribute table and view what are in the educational facilities. The same point to the water distribution, you can open the attribute table and check the locations. But when you check the dwellings, now when you click on dwellings, you realize that this is active, meaning Donald can do any changes on the dwellings. He can edit changes that he needs to do on the dwellings. So the reading and writing permission, and together with deleting and updating, it's assigned to Donald. So that means that whoever is working on water distribution points and the educational facilities cannot do anything on this layer. So that maintains our data integrity, and we are able to know that everybody is working on his layers. That's for our case. And one thing with PostGIS is that it's very scalable. You can add even the timestamps that somebody did the work or somebody edited the work. We can add a couple of more things. We can add like a registry that logs some layer. But this was just a simple example for our case. And maybe I can go to the last one, last example of using, maybe we can say we can choose Mike. So now for Mike, if we are going to log in as Mike, let me just open the last one. And remember also this, you are able to connect different computers into one PostGIS database, even if the people are not located in the same area. That can be made possible by using a cloud server, or you can also use the IP addresses connection spot in PostGIS. That's very typical for this. So I wanted to log in as the last user, that's Mike. So let me just connect this. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to add a new connection, which will be Mike, and Mike is still connecting to the same local host. And we have our database name. Yeah, okay, so the username for this case is Mike, as it's set in the database. Then have the password for Mike. Then I'm connection successful. Okay, so I'm going to check in my tab. Here is Mike. So now for Mike, you can load all the layers just to confirm. So now for Mike can only edit water distribution points. He cannot edit the dwellings. If you click on dwellings and open the attribute table, Mike cannot do anything with these dwellings. He can only view. He cannot change. He cannot edit. He has no rights to edit this, but he can only view and the dwellings. The same thing to the educational facilities, but when it comes to water distribution points, Mike can do some edits. And maybe if I can just zoom to a location, maybe I can zoom to a location that I know. Like here, there are two facilities. This, I'm just giving an example for this. I've not yet gone checked this point. So let's say these facilities can hold, let's say, for 400 liters. Then we say it's active and click OK. So we are able to save this new facility, and the new facilities will automatically be added by point ID, the capacity that just added, and we say it as for it's active, or its operational status is active. And ideally you'll just know that whoever edited this point will be Mike, because the other users do not have the permission to edit this. So that's a typical example of how we can use PostGIS, how we use PostGIS in our case. And this database is so scalable. You can add more and more features according to your project needs. Remember also we can import raster data from here. Let's say you're doing georeferencing, or you're doing digitizing, or you have a team of people that you're working together, and you are able to do this work pretty fast, and because you'll be collaborating on a similar database for this work. Then like I said before, we have, let me just minimize this, we have the cloud servers. So now these cloud servers are very important in case you have very huge data sets, and also you are not working in an in-house, or your organization is not, you're working on a very big organization. A cloud server like Neon Cloud Server is good. We also have Supabase, which allows you to upload your PostGIS database there. Then you'll be accessing it from QGIS to these cloud servers. So whatever I've been showing you is hosted in my local computer, but there is also, you can also use the cloud servers. Yeah.